So we're gonna try something new. We're gonna have a fun little conversation around my two favorite topics, which are Copilot and change management. And I had the pleasure of running to Mary at the M365 Community Days in New York, and we got to just chit chatting about Copilot, her role as a change management expert. Mary, actually, do you want to just introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. Hi. So thank you, Jared, for having me. My name is Mary Varone, and I'm an organizational change manager. I focus on the people side of change, which means that I help organizations that are going through some kind of a change, cultural or new process or new technology, and make sure that the folks that are changing, or we want them to change, that they actually adopt that change to make sure that we're actually overcoming resistance and really coming through with what will make people really be enjoying the change. So that's what I do. And I'm really excited about AI and Copilot as well.
So when you think about that, right, with AI coming out of almost left fields and the consumerization of ChatGPT and how easy, quote unquote, it is to use to ask questions and get sort of those human responses. When you then go look at the work that we do day to day, people's tasks, what do you think is the right approach? And obviously, there's probably no right or wrong, but what do you think is a good approach for helping to support, change management and adoption of Copilot for M365 in a large organization?
Yeah, I have to say, Jared, it's not going to be as easy as I thought it was going to be. I expected it to be a little hard, and I went and purchased Copilot myself so that I can have it at home because companies are holding the licenses back still, experimenting. And I was really, say, shocked on how hard it actually is. The I kind of thought it would be like using a browser and just searching for like using certain keywords and get the results that I wanted. And it's just the opposite of that. The prompts that we need to use and all the thought that we have to put into that prompt and being iterative is going to take time. And I think there's going to be a lot of training that's going to need to be used in order to help people get the really good pieces that we can get out of this, the productivity and the quality. So I think it's
Yeah.
going to be, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, because having been an early adopter of Copilot and helping to support other organizations, help people get comfortable with the technology, what I've noticed is there's the folks when they have that first experience and it's not positive, they tend to sort of be dismissive of it. ChatGPT was better, it could do X, Y, and Z, whereas, Copilot doesn't do this. What are some approaches to help win over people that have that negative first experience, with Copilot, to then have them consider, reevaluating it or trying it a second time?
Yeah, it's a really good point because that was my experience as well. And I'm digging in my heels because the companies that I work with, they typically are Microsoft shops and they use PowerPoint, Word, Excel, and I know that it's going to be a game changer. So I'm figuring it out because I know that eventually that's going to be what people are going to use. It's going to be a lot easier to use Copilot across the all these different applications rather than going to other different tools for every single thing. That would be even harder to train people on. I think Copilot is it's early on and it's going to get better, and eventually it will. Hopefully, by the time we roll it out enterprise wide, it will be better than what it. I'm sure it's going to be better than what it is now. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, I think you're right though. It's that's where I was too. Except I know Copilot is going to be the game changer.
No, I agree with you. It's funny. Like my talk track about, Copilot is, while it's exciting to see it, help to create slides or to create formulas or to help create social media posts. The thing about Copilot that is very exciting for me is the opportunity to extend it to other line of business applications. And so I always talk about the applications that everybody hates to use, whether it be SAP or PeopleSoft, Workday. And no offense to any of those particular partners, but those systems, you're typically not going in there because you want to go in there. You're going in there because, hey, what do I have for PTO balance, or what was my last pay stub? And again, you don't want to, but you have to do that. I love the idea long term about Copilot being that user interface to those backend systems where people can ask questions like, hey, what did I get paid last week? And it produces that PDF versus you having to know how to navigate and do that context switching across those other apps. Like for me, I think that's the long term benefit of Copilot. But of course, to get there, you have to start to unlock the value of what it does out of the box, right? The create formulas, create PowerPoint slides, summarize Teams meetings. So yeah, definitely I mean, I'm just jazzed about like the long-term benefits, of Copilot. I'm
That would
curious
be
too.
amazing. I think you're right. I hadn't thought of it that way. And I love that vision. Thank you.
No, no, it's hopefully it becomes true. We'll see. We'll see what happens. One last question, just to kick around. So, I know if you think about the way that people work, we build in these habits, right? So, like when I, go to create like a proposal, the habit that I've got is I go into PowerPoint, I find, be a recent copy of something that I did that's similar, and then I start to tweak it. And then I've found that when I try to use Copilot in that context to maybe create new slides or to update, it doesn't quite do exactly what I'm looking for. I think, the new habit I need to build is figuring out the edges of where Copilot does fit into that process. Maybe to give me feedback on a particular, presentation I'm putting together, or maybe to do some brainstorming. So, like from a change perspective, trying to have people build those new habits of new ways of working, how do you tackle that? Because getting people to change the way they work is really difficult. And what does that look like, for a large enterprise?
I think showing people the benefits, getting them to really want to do it is going to be key. If they
Mm,
can see that they don't have to spend 2 hours trying to pull slides together, and if they just get the prompt right to begin with, and maybe that, in the beginning it may take half an hour, but it's still a time saving and you do get faster at it. I think it's going to be a learning for sure,
mm.
but I think that it's definitely doable, and people are resilient. They will figure it out. They know how to use their friends. They know if we have to have good training videos, good support around it for sure, and
Mm.
help people get there. But I think that it's going to be a game changer, and I think people will want to change because they're competitive. A lot of them are competitive, or they don't want to do the tasks that are so boring, that makes your job not as much fun.
No, I agree. Actually, it's funny that you bring up the sort of the competitiveness. One of the things that I've observed with a Copilot deployment is, when people share their own wins with Copilot or their own wins with
Mhm.
AI, like that does so much more than just a consultant speaking at you, trying to convince you. But like when one of your colleagues says, "Hey, I just saved a half hour on this particular task because I was using Copilot, I did X, Y, Z," like that definitely is more impactful than again just a slick PowerPoint slide or a consultant coming in saying, this is what you should be doing. So again, I imagine you probably observe the same sort of thing in your work, right? People that peer-to-peer training, if you may.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point before, instead of doing that whole draft that, take something you used before and redoing it, and then at least me, I'm always like, oh, the person who created this has all these like tiny nuances in there that I have to figure out what they did in order, the formatting and stuff. It'd be so much better if I could create it from scratch and do it in the way that I know will be easy for people to use and execute on.
Awesome. Well, Mary, thank you so much for the conversation. Like again, I think this is a lot of fun. Hopefully folks got some value out of it as well. As a quick plug, right? So this is you. I think this is your information. Oh, I want to flip it. There you go. I'll make that
Looks good.
edit. So if folks want to get a hold of you, I imagine reach out to you via LinkedIn. That's a great way to get in contact to and tap into your services. Hopefully you can help support, organizations with adopting Copilot. Because I know it's not easy. It's not training, right? Getting people to adopt Copilot is not training, right? Like
Nope,
takes way
not
more than that.
It is absolutely. I think just getting people there and coming up with a strategy on how to get them there is super important.
So
Thank you.
awesome. Thank you so much, Mary. I appreciate the conversation and hopefully you all had some fun listening to us chat. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna stop recording. Okay, I'll make that